What's up, guys? What's up, guys? My name's Fox, and welcome to the Mr. Gloat podcast, where today I'm having a bad hair day right now. And you know what? It's probably best to have a bad hair day because you know what? It's better than having no bad day. So stick with it. But guys, as I'm recording this, there's going to be a lot of interesting boxing fights. Now, guys, I've already covered up the fight about Brandon Moore versus Stanley Wright. And because this fight took place in America and scorecard rules stated that they would go to technical decision after a few rounds, and even though it ended in round 5 when Stanley Wright did injure out Brandon Moore and the doctors checked in to see if he was all right, Brandon Moore wasn't all right, so they stopped the fight until the 5th round. But the scorecards came in because Brandon was dominating the fight. So Stanley Wright's undefeated record of 14-0 is now 14-1. You can say that he stopped the fight even though it was a doctor because the referee stopped the fight before. He didn't wait it off. He just timed the fight and asked for a doctor if he was okay to fight. He didn't. But because he won by huge margins of scorecard, yet again, it is what it is. It just makes you viewers wonder what would happen if Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgović last year took place in America instead of the UK. Because I did heard rumors that one person online stated that 2 of the 3 scorecards of judges were scored favorite to Filip Hrgović when the referee stopped the fight by a doctor coming to the ring. But the fight ended by that, meaning it was a technical knockout doctor stoppage by Dubois winning that fight. But if they were in America by technical scorecard, that meant, depending on how many rounds they were, if it was a 4-round technical decision, Filip Hrgović would have been IBF interim champion, and Usyk would have given them the belt, and Hrgović would have been champion. But because the UK doesn't do that, and even though Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce, they had their close fight a few years ago, and yeah, even though you thought Daniel Dubois was going to win that fight, and, well, technically he didn't. And that fight was a technical split decision if that fight also took place in America. Yeah, I know, guys, confusion, but that's boxing. There's a lot of confusion around the world because countries have their own athletic commissioners and own rules. So it is what it is. On June the 7th, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of fights. So Murad Aliyev, 13-0, undefeated as a person born in Russia, as a resident of Germany, but he is representing France, but he is fighting in Germany. Like I said, he's going to take on EBU champion Labinot Haksyodziev, and we'll see how that fight takes place in Germany. Just like I said before, Nelson Heisa is going to try to go for his 23-0 win in Europe today for his WBO European champion, followed by that Fabio Wardley and Justice Huni. Also reports, ladies and gentlemen, Dillian White is not going to be on the fight card. He is not going to be here. People think that he's not eligible to fight or so on because we don't know what fighter he was supposed to fight against. But technically, there is no other heavyweight fight, so it is what it is. Also, guys, we have the bronze medalist for the 2024 Olympic Games, Lewis Richardson, a guy that was involved in the tournament about last year ago after his loss in the semifinals against Marco Verad in a super welterweight division. And, of course, that ended out pretty badly for him. The fight was close, like pretty close. It was a split decision. And, of course, his opponent would later lose by 2 to 3 judge rounds in the finals. So, pretty much both of those guys didn't win the gold medal. But, yeah, good luck for Lewis Richards. We'll see if Richardson will get his good debut today. It's going to be great to see an athletic person in the Olympics to see how good he is in professional boxing. And, guys, speaking about professional and amateur boxing, I like to point this out. So, guys, Fabio Wardley and Justice Huni are 2 different guys. Now, guys, I have seen videos that people have been talking about this build-up. I saw a video of a couple people talking about the sparring fight where Justice Huni got knocked out in sparring, and information stating that even though he has had a lot of amateur experience, and even though with 35 wins and 2 losses in his career in amateur boxing, his first one came in 2016, a 96-kilo fight. But most importantly, that's not the thing we would even talk about because his legit loss came in 2020 against Bakadir Jalilov in the 2020 Olympic qualification tournament for Asia/Oceania finals. Yeah, he lost in the finals against Jalilov, and technically that was a fail. So, but he has been building up interesting works after his win against Kevin Loranda in March. He did fought hard and came back strong. Even after he dominated Andrew Tabiti in October of 2023, going out of the country, it looked like he got a big break. But by July, December, and January of 2024 to 2025, he did have 3 fights. A couple that were good fighters, one that was a journeyman, and they were all by round 2 TKO stoppages. So he's still a dangerous person, while Fabio Wardley, on the other hand, is a guy that does not fight in amateur. See, guys, Fabio Wardley has fought 0 professional amateur bouts in his career, and even though he did suffer out a little bit of a controversial fight with Fraser Clark last year, and then had that rematch knockout win, so I do have a feeling, even though he hasn't been in the amateur experience as much as Justice, but like I said before about David Benavidez, of how his father stopped him from boxing amateur as much, like 15 fights, because a lot of that amateur skills you get in boxing, sometimes you create bad habits that might affect your career, and you might not do good against a professional fighter. But yet again, you do need a lot of that experience before going to professionals. But even in the amateur, you do have to learn how to handle yourself when you're in professional boxing. And that's what I'm afraid of Justice Hooney. I just don't see him recovering from this fight from Fabio Wardley. But if he does get a great upset victory win here against Wardley, because he's number 10 and Wardley's number 8 in BoxRec, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens and see how that's going to work out. I do think Fabio Wardley might do a good job here. I do think if this was a 10-round fight, we might get something done here, but I am expecting Justice Hooney will have to take it easy, but he does have to get some rounds winning in this fight. And he has to get that one lucky blow that might cost Fabio Wardley, because Wardley did screw himself with the Fraser Clark after getting deducted points that cost him the fight. So we're going to have to be careful if Wardley does some cheaty efforts, because this fight is going to take place in the UK well, technically I don't have to answer that, but we'll see what happens. Also, guys, on June the 7th, we do have undefeated fighter with the IBF World Lightweight title of Beatriz Ferreira, ranked number 4 in the lightweight of women's boxing, taking on Maria Inez Ferreira, a 11-0-1 undefeated fighter. We'll see how Beatriz does, because I do see Beatriz being a really dangerous opponent. But because she didn't do good much in the Olympic Games last year, it's probably for the best for her to stick with the professional boxing, because it's not going to help her any more than she already does. So we just hope that will be a change of pace. Also, guys, as making this video, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest, as of today, on June the 8th, we do have Junto Nakatani, WBC, taking on IBF Bantamweight champion Nishida Ryosuke. He's a 10-0 fighter, 2 knockouts, and both of these Japanese fighters are going to fight for unifying their titles. So that's going to be great. We'll see how good if any of them pick up a big win here and give themselves a good chance, because with Junto Nakatani, he needs the luck he can get to stay in there as best as he can. So we're going to have to wait and see. And guys, as following up, ladies and gentlemen, the last time we've had a 3 weight class champion in boxing, ladies and gentlemen, even on Wikipedia, states the triple champion of men's boxing, only men. We've only have 56 fighters that have became 3 weight class champion. And Junto Nakatani was the WBC bantamweight in February of 2024. We are getting some bigger step-ups to other fighters as we speak. So it's going to be interesting to know. But guys, the real story will be in the 4 weight class champion, where we're going to have a surprising amount of champions, such as the quadruple, which stands for 4 weight class champions. And ever since great fighters of Leo Santa Cruz with his win in 2019, Canelo Alvarez, well, we might not see much of him in the weight classes, maybe not in the cruiserweight. Naoya Inoue, ever since his super bantamweight wins in 2023 with Kosei Tanaka in February of 2024, also picked up the WBO super flyweight champion. And now Terrence Crawford, that became the WBA super welterweight champion in August last year. One of these 3 fighters are going to fight to become the first fighter to become a 5 weight class champion, because those 3 boxers are battling for quintuple. Yeah, or contemplate, or whatever you like to call it. Yeah, contemplate, I think. Because we've only had Thomas Hearns in 1988 on November the 4th becoming WBO super middleweight champion, WBO, yeah, take that for what you will, and Sugar Ray Leonard did the WBC super middleweight and WBC light heavyweight champion against Don Lalonde. That made him from a 3 weight class to a 5 weight class champion 3 days later after Thomas Hearns' win. Oscar De La Hoya, yeah, he did that in June 2001 against Javier Castillo for the WBC super welterweight champion. Floyd Mayweather, yeah, he went through it in May of 2007 against Oscar De La Hoya, 5 weight class champion. And Manny Pacquiao in June of 2008 against David Diaz for the WBC lightweight champion. So those are the only 5 people that became weight class champions. And with Naoya Inoue, Kosei Tanaka, and Terrence Crawford being the only 3 that are 4 weight class champions, who do you think is going to make it? If Terrence Crawford picks up this win against Naoya Inoue, that will cemented him as a great fighter. But yet again, considering he went up 2 weight classes, similar than Jarrell Iron Man Charlo did a couple years ago when he lost against Canelo Alvarez, yeah, I do question that. I question that a lot. So we do have to be careful on how that's going to change as time goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, on July the 12th, William Zepeda Segura is going to take on Shakur Stevenson for his WBC World Lightweight Champion. William Zepeda, 33-0. He might be similar than Jaime Munguia. Like, if William does win this fight, considering how he barely defeated Telvin Farmer twice, even when I called that guy a journeyman fighter, and that guy managed to put himself to competition against an undefeated fighter like that, yeah, he might lose in the different weight class, even as of right now. Like, I just see that happening. So Shakur Stevenson might get an easy win on this one. Even Jesse the Bum Rodriguez, well, like I said before, Familia Kafu, the guy that defeated Kosei Tanaka about several months ago for the WBO Super Flyweight Champion, which was an underdog victory, so we'll see what happens. But yet again, guys, I wouldn't really say much about that other than anyone would still pick up a great win here for the heck of it. Also, guys, next week on the 14th, which is Flag Day, I do have promoter Bobby Russo, the guy born in Portland, Maine, or living in Portland, Maine, for the Portland Boxing Club, where I'm from, as I'm in Maine, not in Portland. We do have people I am supporting on, such as guys like Wade Faria, a 3-0 guy living in Portland, Maine, 28 years old. He's 3-0. He's going to take on a debut fighter on June the 14th in the Cross-Assurance Arena. We even have another fighter that's actually becoming my favorite, named Liam Harriman. He's going to fight against an 0-3 fighter. That's going to be a job fight. His second professional fight in March the 29th in Fall River in Massachusetts against Jonathan Gruber was not really a step up for him. He picked up the win by split decision, a 6-round fight, but I think we have to take care of Liam Harriman a lot more right now as we speak. Like, I did went onto his Facebook page, and I am wishing him good luck to support the Northeast Territory to see if he can become the next Joey Gamache of boxing. So I do hope that we might get that situation sooner than later. It will be interesting. I'm also wishing out great luck to many other fighters that are also in the ranks for that promotion on the 14th. I wish I could be there, but I have a lot of busy stuff to get on with to save up gas. But everything else we do, I'll just wish these guys best of luck, because they need all the luck they can get. All the luck they can get as best as they can. Also, guys, I like to point out, guys, on June the 21st, we are going back to Riyadh. On June the 21st, guys, we are now doing the round of 16. The round of 16 for the WBC Grand Prix. We have multiple boxers that made it through the first round of 32 on April the 20th. It's going to be great for me to see this by promoter Christian Churchy for the OPI since 82. will be the promoter of that show with timekeepers and inspectors and Dr. Neil Scott, Leo Campuzano, and Mary Jean Cuban are going to work on for featherweight and heavyweight fights, which will be 6-round fights. And there's some decent fighters in the division for Devin Young, Ahmed Krenjic, Vitalia Staujenko versus Sony Rogava, a 11-0 fighter, taking on Vitalia, 10-0. So that will be an interesting fight. Riagan Apanu, 3-0, takes on a 9-1, 0-1 fighter. Lazibek Mojananov, the Olympic gold medalist. And also a 13-0 fighter in the featherweight named Iman Lee versus Hector Munguia, a 15-0-1 fighter. That will be another interesting fight. And other interesting fights are going to be surprising, such as 13-0 Piotr Lakazy, a 13-0 fighter in the heavyweight, is going to try to give himself another big win here. But there's many of interesting contenders in this division, so I wish them best of luck, because you need all the luck you can get to get yourself to the big times as best you can. So I wish them best of luck, and we'll see what goes on as time goes on. So, all due to respect. All due to respect as competition, tough. Tough competition, ladies and gentlemen, tough competition. But when it comes to the history of all the greatest fighters of all time, guys, it's really hard to talk about Ken Shamrock versus Royce Gracie. Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie, Bellator 149, is the last time that these two would face each other in the ring. Now, guys, I've seen this about several years ago, which was, I look back at it, it's really hilarious. So Royce Gracie is out of the MMA. He did win to Japan in 2000 in a Pride Grand Prix 2000 opening. Had an interesting win. Going to a finals against Kazushi Sakuraba, which after 6 full rounds of 15 minutes against 2 of them, the match ended due to corner stoppages or doctored by Gracie, and he lost due to modified rules of unlimited rounds with no referee stoppages at the time, which was several months later, and Kazushi became the first to defeat Gracie. And Gracie scored another draw 3 years later in Japan, and another fight in Shockwave Pride and K1 Premium, where he got another fight by submission win against someone, and then had a 2-round draw fight the next year against Hideo Tokoro, only to come 6 months later on UFC 60 in May of 2006, and Matt Huggs defeated him by TKO punches at 4 minutes and 39 seconds. It was a catchweight 175 bout, and seeing Royce Gracie lose that fight, that was the end of his career there. He did come back playing in Dynamite USA in June of 2007 to go 3 rounds by decision for a catchweight 188 bout, where Gracie tested positive for anabolic steroids after the match, where the judge's decision was not overturned, but Gracie still won the fight against Kazushi Sekibura for a rematch. So take that for what you will. So he's been out of the box world since, and that was the last time you had seen him. Ken Shamrock, on the other hand, well, to be honest, he managed to pull on victories and such, but I am going to skip away from everything because he would be in a couple years left for UFC. When he left in Ultimate Champion in 1996, and December the 7th, 1996 would be his last fight. So he would disappear a year and a half later, due to respect. But I won't get into his other fights in the future in UFC yet until I get to them. So, oh yeah, and by the way, guys, Ultimate 1995 and Ultimate 1996 and other non-divisions that don't involve UFC numbers, I'm not going to review them. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, Shamrock also went to May the 1st of 2000 in the Grand Prix finals as well that same night with Gracie's first loss. And Shamrock defeated Alexander Otsuka for the Pride Grand Prix final super fight. And he lost against Kazuyuki Fujita in August the 27th, one day after my second birthday. And pretty much Shamrock did manage to get on fights until then, but by 2001, with another win or so for the WMMAA heavyweight champion, he lost against Don Fry in Pride 19. Went in 2002. Several months he went back in UFC 40 to take on Tito Ortiz for UFC light heavyweight champion. And even though they went on in a 3-round fight, but after the end of 3 rounds, former corner stoppage stopped Shamrock from entering the ring. He did fought against Kimo Leopoldo in UFC 48, which was pretty good, and won the fight by a KO to the knee. But went to Ultimate Fighters or so by 2005 and went back to Pride in 2005 with another loss. The loss here, Kazushi Sekibura, Rich Franklin, and then Tito Ortiz in 2006. He had both fights in UFC 61 and Ortiz and Shamrock 2 that same year, and both lost by horrific TKOs. Everything else by that, he took a break in 2008 and 2006, lost a fight again in Cage Rage 25 in 2008. Year later, he did manage to get another win on himself. 2010, he had 3 fights where he lost against Pedro Rizzo in Impact FC2. And by the way, even though Ken Shamrock won a fight in 2009 in the War Gods Valentine's Eve massacre against Ross Clifton, that fight also had problem where it stated that Shamrock tested positive for steroids after the fight, but they let the win stand. So, hey, look at that. 2 guys that had steroids and got away with it. So, yeah, pretty much Shamrock did have another win or so in October, and a month later, he lost against Mike Bark in a KOTC Platinum event in South Africa. He did come back after a long hiatus in June of 2015 in Bellator 138, where he lost by TKO in 2 minutes in the first round against Kimbo Slice. But then in February 19, 2016, both of the return of light heavyweight supremacy, Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock 28, 16-2 versus Royce Gracie 14, 2-3. That's the record. So technically, you can write it off saying that Gracie had a great resume there. And you can say whatever. So there was an event that had horrible quality footage by a person named Big O Gleek that might have recorded his video on a camera, recording it on computer, showing video of a woman yelling to the screen, and there was a Titantron that showed lions and tigers and such, and it showed Ken Shamrock entering the ring. His body and the way he has been into the ring, well, it is interesting. He does manage to take off his shirt, and there's a few ring card girls looking at him. They also have a card that shows him where submitted opponents win 23 career submissions in his career, which is, well, you can say that's accurate, depending if you want to say accurate or not. They also had Start Fast, Be the Bully, which was Ken Shamrock's way of winning victories. But mostly after I just hope these friggin' ads online don't give me a hard time, Shamrock wasn't much in his prime. It's been over 20 years since their UFC fights. And in Gracie, he's almost 50 years old at this time, too. Like, he left UFC 5 when he was still almost in his late 20s. So, pretty much. Another Tron shows a person talking in the screen and a bunch of kids talking and such, and which were a bunch of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kids and such. And coming out of the ring, Royce Gracie, the bald-headed dude, comes out walking in his amazement, like all his great gear. I will say, though, even though he's not in the prime, he's been out of the ring for over 9 years. And then he takes off his white karate uniform and has a gray shirt on with the title of Royce Gracie. And then it cuts to a camera showing the ring card girls smiling and and just seeing this person taking off his pants, which is ridiculous, but he was wearing, like like MMA gear, like the shorts, the trunks and such. He takes off the gray shirt, and it states that his key to victory mostly is get to the fight to the ground and make it a long fight. And the thing is, guys, even when I watched some of the MMA fights he had in Japan in the 2000s, those are hard things to look at when you see that. I just don't see that as a good case. But yeah, the tail of the tape shows Gracie's 49 years old. Ken Shamrock is 52. And with their records of 6 foot and mostly 6'1" and 109-pound Gracie, 201 Shamrock. Shamrock is a reach of a 71 reach advantage, while Gracie is a 76.5. So due to their age differences, and like I said before, Gracie is almost in his 50s, and he did left UFC 20 years ago when he was in his late 20s, but still, he was in the pride there. So, yet again, I wouldn't really say there was much to this. They announce on the fighters with Michael C. Williams being the announcer of the fight. They put out every single information. They show notable wins of Gracie's wins against Kazuki Shibaro, Dan Severn, Kimo Apato, and Ken Shamrock wins, which was his best wins. And to be honest, they were great wins. Ken Shamrock's best wins they do show are, well, technically, I'm going to try to get to those notable wins some other time, except Kimo Apato or Patrick Smith, Maurice Smith, and, there's a few other fighters. I'll save them for later. But technically, it was about to get a little bit crazier by the minute as time goes on. So by main event standards, whether if you like to call this a main event or so on, even if it is or isn't, because for the fun of it, and even though Bellator 149 titled this as Shamrock versus Gracie 3, and by the way, the drawing in average was a 2.0 million viewer numbers at the time on Primetime and Spike TV. Guys, I hate that Spike TV is gone. Man, guys, how many people liked watching MXC, Most Extreme Painful Eliminations? Or even when WWE used to be on Spike, when they brought back to USA Network. Like, I miss those good old times, guys. How many people miss Spike TV? Damn. Also, 14,209 attendants were there with a total gate of $1,388,951 of money right into the money. So, pretty much. Anyway. So the fight starts out different where both guys are stunning each other. And at this moment, when I watch this fight, because it's been like probably 8 years or so, because I think I saw this fight by late 2016 or early of 2017. So who knows? So both fighters are starting off strong, and at the first 30 seconds, Gracie throws a real high right kick that misses Shamrock. But when I saw Gracie even throw another left high kick, that was pretty scary to see. And I did not know Royce Gracie. At 49 years old, he really knew how to throw those kicks, and studying him and trying to scare Shamrock, because Shamrock was trying to be the offensive. He even goes for a huge spin kick, misses, and Gracie goes back for one as well. And after the first minute, I love that both of them were studying each other. Like, they're not going for the attack yet. And even though this is a 3-round fight with judges, so if they're going to last a fight for a long time, I think Gracie might win this fight. But I was questioning this because I think there was a lot of criticisms thinking of the second fight. This fight was going to be similar to the second fight, just 15 minutes of boredom and both guys stunning each other or even hitting the ground, similar than a story about how Shamrock and Dan Severn was a boring fight, which I don't know if that's true, so I'm going to have to get to those videos later in the future. But yeah, pretty much. As they're stunning each other in the first minute and 30 seconds, there is a moment where the ring was covered in blood in the middle of the ring. So I think that night goes to show you there was blood everywhere in the ring next to the Bud Light and the Monster Energy signs and such. So there was a lot of blood in the ring that day. So it's crazy. And coming into the 2-minute mark, Shamrock is trying to scare off Gracie. And with even 2 minutes of the fight, they weren't going for takedowns. But like I said before, it's the first minute of the fight. But this is when the craziest moment comes, when Shamrock decides to cut the boredom and go for it. Gracie tries to go for a fake right kick. Does, backs away, and Shamrock chases him, tries it. They go for a pull down, well, or they're just clinching each other. Knees, strikes, this or that. Well, mostly knees to themselves, to the gut. And then the fight ends where Gracie goes for a perfect knee shot, and Shamrock is holding himself down. And then Gracie grabs him, takes him down, and Shamrock is feeling some painfulness. I think a gut kick or a low blow came. I don't know. But as Gracie takes him down, he throws some heavy stomps, pounds right into Ken. And the referee stops the fight at 2 minutes, 22 seconds. 2 minutes, 22. Yeah, 2-2-2. And that's how the fight ends. Yeah, to be honest, guys, this fight was a little bit longer than the 1 minute, than the 57. Like, their first fight was 57 seconds in UFC 1. Their second, 36 minutes and 6 seconds, or 36 minutes. This fight was 2 minutes and 22 seconds. And you know what? The fight ends. Gracie gets into it. The crowd are going bananas. I don't think none of the fans were expecting the fight to end that quickly. And I was pretty shocked that the fight ended that quickly than I expected, because I was expecting a boring fight, but I do feel bad that Shamrock and Gracie were old guys. And you know what? When you see a 52-year-old guy get taken down, get to the gut, and then gets pounds by Gracie and his... Oh, it was scary. So they show us the replay, which did have a moment where it wasn't a kick to the gut or a knee to the gut. The grab shows that both of them were grabbing each other's hands. And as they're both grabbing their left hands, just gripping and putting their hands to the back of their head, their right hands. And then it shows the replay of Gracie going for a right knee right into the equilibrium of Shamrock. And that's what got him hurt. And Shamrock was hugging himself. So from the angle, I actually thought it was a gut kick or a gut to the knee. It was a huge equilibrium, which I didn't know that until the replay of the fight. Showed the replay of the bunch of Donkey Kong smash pounds. And that was it. So what do I have to say about this whole entire situation of Gracie versus Shamrock? Well, guys, after reviewing UFC 5, I can't really say much about this because there's other fights and other fighters I want to talk about in the future. And I think there was one moment I might have talked about the UFC 3 guy that goes by the name of Harold Howard. There is another couple other fights that he did be involved in, but I think there was one moment I am going to review, or maybe I did reviewed. But my point is, seeing that these fighters had a lot of history themselves in the 90s just goes to show you that they loved fighting. Unfortunately, guys, Gracie and Shamrock would never fight again. So by February the 19th, 2016, both of these guys had a great 20-year career in themselves. And even though Shamrock had a lot more history into himself, and not only that, guys, by 2016, Royce Gracie would be involved in the Class 2016 for International Sports Hall of Fame. Even 3 years ago, when he was the World MMA Award for 2013 Lifetime Achievement Award. So Gracie pretty much there. And even though Gracie was in the inaugural inductee of the Pioneer Wing of the 2003 Class UFC Hall of Fame, Ken Shamrock would actually become that class the same year in 2003 as well. And in 2020, Ken Shamrock would be involved in the George Trangos Lou Fezos Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2020 for the Trangos Award. So, and also by 1994 and other stuff as well. But yet again, and even in 2023, the World MMA Awards for the Lifetime Achievement Award would go to Ken Shamrock 10 years later after Gracie. So, yeah, pretty much these guys have managed to put out achievements. And even the NWA Total Nonstop Action Impact also had Ken Shamrock as the Impact Hall of Fame in 2020, which is ridiculous. But you know what? He was the NWA WBA World Heavyweight Champion at one point, and then he was a WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion and a Tag Team Champion with the Big Boss Man. back in 98 or so, during that time when the D-Generation X were mocking the corporation at the time, which was hilarious, before the Mankind and The Rock title on January the 4th. But yeah, so technically it just goes to show you that both of these guys still had great history in the 90s and a little bit in the 2000s. So seeing them come back in 2016, I did question that. It's just great that both of them left the ring with no one getting hurt at the end. Yes, I'm sure Shamrock's injury might have ended his career, but let's be honest, he should have left the ring. And even Dan Severn left the ring even a while back during the mid-2010s as well. So it just goes to show you how this sport is so dangerous when you have guys past their prime that can still do this for a living. Just like Oliver McCall. And speaking of Oliver McCall, guys, I wanted to talk about him because Oliver McCall, his fight some time ago was an embarrassment for me because he scored his first ever split draw in a 7-round fight against a jobber with 17-2 against Carlos Reyes. And I was involved in a live stream video that was live on June the 3rd in Troubadour Theater in Nashville, Tennessee, for the Tennessee Athletic Commission. And the show and the venue at the time did have a lot of moments there. I did manage to watch some of the fights, and even though I went back to watch because I didn't see the fight in time when Oliver McCall scored out a split decision draw, I only saw part of the highlights of some of the stuff. But yeah, looking back at it, seeing Oliver McCall go 6 rounds with that, he didn't get knocked down, which was still his achievement. But I think after this, with Oliver McCall being at 235.5 pounds, yeah, that was pretty tough to watch him. It just goes to show you, I really wanted to see if him and Mike Tyson would take on a good fight against each other, because after this, someone did say to comment me live on chat during the time when the show ended, after Savannah Tini had a journeyman win in her 6-round fight, and even having Alfred Ortiz taking on a 0-11 Marco Lara. And after having some fights on the show with J1 Woods and a referee named Blake Waddell, the worst referee in my opinion, that reffed so much that after watching horrible referee incompetence, and after watching an exhibition 4-round fight against some guy that I thought the fight ended 2-2 apiece, I will say though, if I was in Oliver McCall's shoes right now, he's 6 foot on the month of June the 3rd, and even though November the 2nd, 1985 was his debut, so if I was him, I know he might take time off in July and August. If he is going to fight, I think in my mind he should not come back again. Like, he can pass September, work out as best he can, just give himself time to just box until November the 2nd when they do have one more fight. Whoever he's going to fight at the end, we'll see how it's going to end well, just for the heck of it. Because I can see him past July, August, September, because of those 3 months if he does fight September. But if they do think that he is not in good shape, I think he should just take time with his body, recover a little bit, take his time on this 6-round fight he dealt with, and we'll see what happens. Because he was on a guys, in his last 4 fights, he already had 4-4 wins in his career at this time. Now he got a draw, which means that 6 for 6 is over with. So there's no point of him boxing again in the next 5 months until November the 2nd. So I hope Oliver McCall at the age of 60, because at this moment, Oliver McCall was 59 years old when he defeated Gary Cobia last February. So if I was him, give him a fight that's similar to someone. And I did thought that he might have won this fight, but he didn't. It is what it is. It does stink that he didn't win this fight, but just seeing it come this way, if Oliver McCall can still, if he does have a couple fights, if he's going to fight in September or even August and then in November or so for 2 more fights, because that's what I'm expecting. I just if he goes for November, let him end his career because he did say that he will retire until November of 2025. So I am wishing him best of luck to stay clean as best he could. And if he does win any fight in these last months, he will be the first boxer at the age of 60 to even hold the record at age 60 to become the oldest former heavyweight champion to win a professional fight at 60. Now that's going to be history to talk about. And I hope Oliver McCall does it. I wish him best of luck, and I hope no one gets hurt. So that's it. So the final couple topics, ladies and gentlemen, I like to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. The second final topic I like to talk about is the PBA season of PBA, Professional Bowling Association. And after everything going on, EJ Tackett is already Player of the Year at this moment. He's already followed the lines of becoming it again, like Earl Anthony did it back in 74 and 76 to 1981. Of 1983, he did it to become a three-peat in history of bowling. That's amazing. Twice. And Walter Ray Williams did that in 1996, 97, and 1998 to become the second to do it, or the third as three-peat. And also Jason Belmonte in the time from 2012 and 13 season to the 2014-2015, he was the fourth to do so. And now EJ Tackett is now the fifth or fourth bowler to do so, and the fifth time in history of PBA bowling. So, and even though EJ Tackett was Player of the Year in 2016, which means he'll be four-time Player of the Year, so that will be interesting. But guys, the only thing that upsets me about this year, 2025, is that everything will be school vacation for everyone else. School vacations already happened for some people right now, and there's still some until mid-June until it's over. So school vacation is almost over. And on June, so at this moment, guys, Jesper Svensson has already picked off wins after wins in his TOC. He was also involved with Team Storm and one of the Team Storms in the PBA Elite League with Kyle Troop, Chris Vine, Jason Belmonte, and Francis Lavoie, helping with him to become champions in that division. And then he became playoffs champion. But now, guys, at this moment, the PBA Tour Finals is the final event on national television live on CBS Sports in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on June the 7th. As of today, they have a 4-group tournament that's going to happen. I'm only going to watch it tomorrow. I don't know who's going to win, but to be honest, I'm still questioned because this is the final tournament, and tomorrow on June the 8th will be whoever's the champion is the champion. Like, there is a couple other events that are not going to be live on TV. The PBA, PWBA, Striking Against Breast Cancer Awareness, a mixed doubles will be on July the 27th in Houston, Texas. And we don't know what footage will be on at that time, so there might be no footage for people to care about because the breast cancer mixed doubles division have never been on YouTube. There's YouTube videos of people vlogging them, but no videos of full matches because there is no bracket formats in that division, and never since. The PBA, WBT, Storm Lucky, Larson Masters will be on August the 31st. There will be no US TV, but there will be information on YouTube for the PBA Unlimited. It's not reported of what the pattern will be, but that will be it. So technically, these last two events will be on 1 month apart of each other. So we can just say that the PBA is already done for. I'm upset that the PBA is shortened every single time. It just stinks. It stinks. As for the PWBA, guys, I was really upset that we already had... Oh boy, I was really upset, guys, that Sin Wei Jane, the Player of the Year last year ago, did not win. For some reason, why Sin Jane actually failed horrible in the USBC Quins against Sozy Barnes, and I really was upset, and I'm still upset of that win today. And now Sin Jane has not won one tournament since. And we even have someone named New Hugh Fenn that's already winning tournaments in Bowl TV right now. And there's still others. And on June the 17th, we'll be on CBS Sports on US Women's Open. And August the 12th on PWBA Tour Champion. But at this moment, it really stinks that there's no live televisions of any of the other non-major events that are there. And bad that females are not getting a lot of performances in competition. And it even sucks because, guys, it seems like the PWBA is a waste of time because Cindy Jane dominated in 2023. And then we had Jordan Richard that dominated competition there last year ago, winning out about just a few divisions of that tour. And then in 2024, she flopped it up by winning 0. She would have won the PBT, the last title on Tour Champions, but failed. And with Shannon Polonsky and even Daniel McEwen and other people, what happened to females in bowling that aren't getting that? Like, why are their consistencies doing good for 1 year and then the next year they're flopping so bad? Like, Lee Sin Jane is not that type of a woman that should flop this hard. And with Shannon O'Keefe, that was in 2022, where is she since the last couple years of bowling? It's I don't know, guys. And even 2021 had moments where I don't know where Daniel McEwen is. And a lot of these players are... I just don't know why one female is doing a good job 1 year and then the next year they're not doing good at all. There's no point of me watching the PWBA if they're not live on television. There's only 3 of them that are on television, all majors. And guys, it's so bad because there's people, like even the pastor I once had in church talked about that should females become Navy SEALs, and they shouldn't. Because it's hard to work on that body proportion like us grown men because we can handle that source of being a Navy SEAL. And it's so hard. Or even talk about the history when one of them were operating a helicopter. And there's even one time when a pastor of church once talked about why females do not get more money even if you're like being in professional sports or like being a boxer, you're not making a lot of money than male boxers because they never will due to their... for us men, because we are in full entertainment mode of danger. Don't get me wrong, females have their own talent of doing a lot of great things. And even when you understand why there's not a lot of recognition in women's FIFA World Cup, but there's more to men's FIFA World Cup, is probably because there's not a lot of entertainment to it because it's really embarrassing. Because it's not like when you have men taking on women in a soccer field and you have women from America and American men in both FIFA fighting against each other, and the competition ends with over 30 goals to 0 for men. So it makes you wonder why women should exist in sports to begin with, and you have them flopping away from PBA because they're not getting a lot of tournament titles, and the PBA and PWBA are not getting a lot of attention than they should have because this is just so bad. So it just goes to show you how embarrassing this is to just see this type of horrific problems due to all of this formality happening, and females are just not getting anything to begin with. So it just goes to show you how tough this is if you're a woman in sports. I just can't really explain it because it's so tough for me to even rely on everything other than the people that I'm looking at, because it's a tough sport out there. And speaking about tough sport, even the Japanese women are still in problem. So it's still tough, guys, that Japanese women are still into the toughness of competition here when it comes to boxing. Now, even though Mizuki Hiruta is still barely like the top 15 greatest boxers today in pound for pound of BoxRec, not in the top 10 yet. But there's still some boxers I'm still giving them luck on June the 26th, live in Korakuen Hall. Like we have Komi Sato, 2-0, fighting against someone. I hope she wins. Madoka Wada, a 3-0 fighter. She's going to try to get for Oriental Federation minimum weight title. So we'll see how good that one does. And with Arisa Tsubada fighting on June the 25th, she's taking on a 4-0-1 fighter from Taiwan. And even though she's 31 years old, I wish her best of luck. But there is plenty of other competitors out there that might have a chance. And ever since, guys, when Tina Rupert scored out her victory in a controversial manner, against Samira Yamanaka last April, it's so tough to understand what we're getting ourselves into, because when Tina Rupert managed to win by a robbery 9th-round knockout when Samira Yamanaka clearly knocked her out and no knockout was performed in that fight in the 9th round, and how everything's going on. It's been 2 months right now, and there's still no information on whether they're going to fight or not, or if there's going to be a rematch, or the titles will be vacated with Tina Rupert retiring the same way as Senicia Estrada. It just goes to show you that there's more random controversy in this division as we speak. So it's going to be really tough for me to get used to this, because it's just going to rile me up and make me talk about this less every single moment. So it just goes to show you how tough it is to be in this business when you're actually trying to commentate over this type of stuff. Also, guys, on July the 25th, around the time, we are going back to Australia, where Chi Keneally will defend her WBA Women's Light Heavyweight Championship against Auri Melasia in a 10-round fight on July the 25th, live from Dimitri Salida Promotions and a couple other gals to be in that promotion slot. So I wish Chi Keneally best of luck. She's ranked number 2 in the rankings. Melasia, a 6-2-1 fighter from New Zealand, hasn't fought in over 2 years, so I don't see her taking out this win as much. She did lose against Lonnie Daniels a couple years ago for the IBF heavyweight champion. So Chi Keneally, it's going to be her first title defense in a long time, for over a year, so we'll see how that's going to go on for her. With 5 wins, 2 knockouts, it's going to be great to see if Chi Keneally can pull out another great victory here and probably another good win. Even though Lonnie Daniels is already going to fight on July the 26th, one day after that fight, against undisputed champion Clarissa Shields. So it's going to change for Keneally being number 1 on BoxRec as we speak. So we'll see how this whole thing comes to play. It's going to be interesting, and interesting is the key to this entire thing. Guys, there is a lot of other things I might want to talk about, but I actually forgot about them, and I wish I would have grabbed a notepad file or something to write down so I won't forget what I'm about to talk about. And even though I'm already done with part of the podcast, because that's about everything I'm going to have to talk about for today, but there's still a few other things I forgot to talk about as we're speaking, and I really don't know what else to talk about because I forgot so much stuff to talk about. We don't know when any of the trilogy fight with Beterbiev and Bivol is going to come. We don't know when that fight's going to take place for anyone else. There will be moments where I will expect probably an upset victory. Keep me. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be interesting. But there is one more thing I like to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and this one is going to be short and sweet. So I'm going to end this one as quickly as I can, just for the heck of it. So guys, the last topic I like to talk about is VTubers. So ladies and gentlemen, about 6 days ago, a YouTuber named More Kazahana uploaded a VTuber called VTuber Clipper Gets Exposed for Being a Creep, Annie TF Situation. So information-wise, I watched the video and it was a shocker and it is upsetting. And guys, I do like Annie TF. She was an interesting VTuber. She did have a little bit of hilarious, fun, controversy flashbang she had a couple years ago, and one of her most popular videos that hit over a million views, called Kingdom Come. But after the VTuber deactivates account after stalker video uploaded 2 weeks ago by the same YouTuber, it makes me wonder. And even after 1 month ago, when Gara Gura left YouTube and so or the Hololive and how she got her graduation, and even though as of right now, looking at the video she uploaded last month ago and everything else, live and that's it. And after clicking on the YouTube channel VTuber Cinder, and guys, I was already done because I didn't want to go through that, because after last month and during the month of April and everything else, after I found a video on YouTube known as Battle Whale talking about it while she was sobbing and crying so much, after her talk about why Cinder would steal ideas from other people and everything else, and just hearing about it and everything else, and also by the same YouTuber named More Kazahana and everything, and how it just created so many thoughts. And even the other YouTubers named Neurosoda and Numi Clips Fan Channel, and even YouTuber named Athoma and Mujin, YouTubers that have put out thumbnail videos and such. It was so bad. And guys, I did comment on one video, which I'm not gonna say where I clicked on or what video. It wasn't. I actually went on a private account, and I once stated, and there was one person online stating, "I wish if I was in Cinder's shoes, I wish I can go back and start all over again as a career again." And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, if I had to go back and change the things I did 2 months ago, which I should regret not doing, I would. But why would you go back to day one? Like, why would you even go back to day one to begin with? Okay. Sorry, guys. My phone turned off by itself. But like I said before, guys, this person was actually a female, and as someone, I think it was part streamer, someone like that, maybe a Twitch, saying that she has 100,000 followers. And I looked up and she said that she did have 100,000 followers. I'm not going to say if it was Instagram or not. I don't want her to get involved with this. I do have a private account that I comment, so I'm not going to tell you people the information. But this woman told me 10 days ago that she saw this child that hit a home run and as make it to the big leagues of a little league. And she said, "I wish I can go back to be that kid's age and make it again and start all over to my life before I started as an internet successful person." And I'm like, what are you talking about? And this was a topic about Cinder and those other VTubers and NETF and these controversy that's happened in the VTubers at the time, where she said, and I said, what does this have to do with anything about VTubers? What are you talking about? What does this have to do with Cinder? What does this have to do with anyone? Like, look, listen, you have 100,000 followers. You've done it. You've done it better than me. I only have 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. You were part of helping out a part of a community. You have fun videos you made. You've done it all, barely. And you might almost get 1 million followers in the next year or something. Why would you want to trade spots with a kid that just hit a home run and now in the Little League? Why would you even want to trade spots with a newbie instead? I would actually give up anything. I would give up anything I would to be you. I would give up everything to even be a better person than I would do to be part of that legacy. I would do anything to be like Iron Mike Tyson. I would do anything to be involved, to be with Shy Lily and anything else. And it's so much better for anything else. And she went on to think about saying, well, understand, there's a lot of things that's better than being in the destination, but understand. And I told her, well, what does this have to do with anything? And she did say that, well, understand, sometimes you think success can be great and all, but sometimes that success still drives you to do more things, and you can't stop. You can't stop. Cinder could not stop doing what she was doing, even if she know that she was doing the wrong things. And I was like, why would Cinder ever steal things from anyone else if she already knew she made it? I would ever be in Cinder's shoes. Guys, if I was in Cinder's shoes right now, I would be really happy to be with friends like Battle Whale, Yuzu, Numi, Tricky, Vienna, or Shy Lily. Why would I ever want to steal from them or steal ideas from them if I'm living with YouTube people? Like Markiplier's friends Bob and Wade aren't doing nothing dumb. So why would you? And she went back to reply to me, listen, you don't understand what's going on in the outside world. You have to understand success will drive people to keep doing what they love doing. Like Earnhardt Sr. would never get out of that car until he died in 2001. To this day, I still don't understand much of the information. So if anyone has ideas of what is going on, let me know in the comments, because I'm still confused by the entire information that was read, because I don't know what anyone is talking about to this day, but to this day, I still have no idea what's going on. So give me some advice, because I am a little bit confused by all of this. So just, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the podcast. So we'll see what happens in the future and see what happens.